Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey, here we go.
We made it to Judgment Day. For 3 years, Tyvis has been telling me how he could take me deep.
We're going to find out.
3 years.
Chill out.
Today we learned.
First of all, you go watch your mouth.
You want to downplay it, don't you?
Oh, boy.
No. Listen,
No?
the thing is, what you don't know is
How many times you go to the cage?
None. I've been in the lab. I've been watching
With the pen and the pad.
I've been watching tape.
Get his label off.
So I've been watching tape, and I've
Yeah.
been studying your pitches. And
Okay,
you
good.
You don't even know that I know.
you-
Well, I got two you haven't seen.
You ain't hit off the tee?
I don't need to.
Did you?
Hitting off the tee won't help him.
If this was
this.
Jay 45 years ago,
I was 14. I wouldn't have had a chance. You weren't born yet.
if this was Jay back in the day, I'd be worried. But come on, man, this is
I know,
a
because you know what's
retirement
going through his
home,
mind.
right? Come
You know
on.
what? I know it was a long drive up from Columbus, and I know what was going through his mind. I can't lose to a guy that's in his 60th year.
It's not,
I can't.
It's not gonna happen.
I
It's
can't.
just
How old
not
are
gonna
you, by
happen.
the way?
30.
So I've got 30 years on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not that I'm building
Listen,
an excuse or anything, because I won't use my age as an excuse.
For those who don't know, this is happening at Progressive Field today.
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 That's why we're on at 10.
Yes.
I got my jersey.
Unless it rains more and then it's.
I got my
Yeah.
jersey on and everything, man.
I saw that.
Listen, I'm ready to go.
I love
I'm locked
it.
in.
I
Listen,
can't wait.
Your best pitch is a light pack. Prince outlived Mike Jack.
I see what you did right there.
Bomb!
What will you most be looking for? Slide her in? Cut her away?
I don't care what you
Split
throw.
her down?
I don't care what you throw.
Okay, good.
What you
Good.
throw, that you can throw.
How are we doing
throw
this,
your
Mike? I
best
don't even
pitch.
think we've set parameters. He's getting nowhere near hitting one out.
This is hilarious.
I mean, that's a given. But how do we decide who wins, who loses?
It's 10 pitches.
10 pitches.
10 pitches.
Yes.
Now, Tyvis has literally set his own parameters of home run or bust.
That's
That
it.
is Tyvis's
Crazy.
parameters. I think we, as a collective group, will decide if Tyvis wins if he can barrel up one. If he makes,
If he hits a line drive into the
Yeah, like if
outfield, I mean,
he-
that's
Wait.
pretty good.
1 out of 10? I mean, he's hitting 100.
well, you said he's not going to touch it.
No, I didn't say that. I said he will not go deep.
No,
And I stand by that.
I feel like balls and strikes should count, and I feel like Tyvis got to make 3 outs. We should be like, you swung a miss. That's strike 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, I see. I
Now
see.
that's 1 out.
That's fair.
You
That's
see
fair.
what I'm saying?
So in hitting,
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm trying to save Jay's arm. That's why.
No, listen.
Jay's
I'm
gonna throw
pitching
an
Monday.
inning.
I'm not pitching Saturday, which
We're
is
gonna throw an
good
inning.
for me. But I'm not gonna go out there and go nuts and throw hard. But
you gonna have to. What
I'm
you
gonna,
mean?
I'm gonna
What
try
you
to hit
What
spots.
you mean? You go out there and throw it halfway if you want to. You gonna halfway see it go over the dang gate. That's what you gonna see.
I bet you don't hit it halfway to the fence.
Okay, see that? I'm glad. You know what? I love this.
You know what?
Hey, Jay, you know what? Actually, here's the best way.
Yeah.
We're going to let the viewers kind of decide who wins because we
Good.
have
That's a good idea.
3 cameras set up. So
Really?
we have a sports camera from upstairs.
Okay.
We have our MMJ kit. We have a GoPro.
Are we streaming this?
You remember all the cables for the golf course?
Yeah.
That wasn't plausible to move around.
I
the
remember
robe
that.
and
That
stuff.
was a nightmare.
So we're going to record this.
Oh, that's fair.
Members are going to get the video a day early, and
Okay.
then once it's all edited, then we'll come back and put the actual video out and discuss it on the show in the full
That's a great
context
idea.
Jay,
it
you-
deserves.
The only thing that I've been thinking about for the last day or two is that image of Tyvis swinging and missing at a ball that wasn't moving.
That is true.
I just keep coming back to that.
The golf
Is
ball?
that-
And
that's-
back to that.
See, that's the problem.
back to that.
That's the problem.
Maybe I'm overly confident.
You are. You really are.
Hey, have you ever played baseball?
Yeah, I played up until I was a sophomore in high school. I was on varsity.
As a sophomore?
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't know
The
that?
price of poker just went up.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't. Because
Yeah, I played-
I just judged it based on your sophomore
Oh yeah, no.
skills.
I that's the thing. Like I actually play baseball.
Wow.
That's why I
Would they have
laugh.
like 9-10 guys on the squad?
I don't know. We had.
They needed
I
play.
think we had
What school you
maybe
go to?
11. maybe 11 or 12. I can't remember. We had a couple people sit. I didn't play every day.
No tryouts.
I didn't play
No tryouts
every
at
day.
all.
felt
It was
tryouts.
tryouts.
No, they said if you show up, you get a jersey.
That's
They
crazy.
was like, hold on, you play football?
Listen.
Oh, you fast? If you get on base,
Wait a
you still
minute.
bases?
Now, I will say this. Tyvus is a world-class athlete. He played in the NFL.
Thank you.
So I have to give him some credit where it's due. He's big, he's strong. If he were able to barrel one up and get his arms out, which I don't intend to let him do, if he were able to do that, he might be able to hit it to the outfield.
Listen, do you understand that, this is an audition, right?
You think the Guardians are going to have some scouts
No,
there?
no, not the Guardians. The Savannah Bananas. We had the coach on, and he said he
does want the video.
Want the tape.
He specifically asked for the video.
This right here, it
Wow.
just
So
got the price of
maybe-
this just went up.
Now,
for
wait
me.
a minute. Maybe we should have like a little conspiracy. Maybe I should make him look good. So
Jay, this is
he
also
could
your
get-
tryout for the Bananas.
No, listen, that ship has sailed. I was ready to play for them, but somehow they found Corey Kluber.
Yeah, tough choice.
I know.
Tough
It was
choice.
either me or Kluber, and Kluber won. That's okay. No ill will.
That's
No ill will.
wild, man. Y'all trying out bananas. That's crazy.
Banana ball.
Pause.
That's see.
You've been out, boy.
Did anybody go to the show? From
I
here?
wanted to so bad.
God, I had
Tickets
tickets
are
and couldn't
so
go.
hard. They told us when Tyler was on,
Yeah.
the coach,
2.5 million.
2.5 million person waiting list to get tickets.
I know it's insane. I had someone offer two. I was at the boat. I was out of town. Couldn't do it. Wish I would have though.
I had the
Should've changed
Browns.
my
I had the
plans.
Browns post game show, and it was hard to get in because everybody was parking for it. And when I
Yeah.
was done with the post game, everybody was leaving. So
Downtown was probably a nightmare, right?
yeah, it
With
was.
the Browns and the
it really
Bananas.
was. And I
What
upset
what
about
was
it.
the attendance at the Browns preseason? I
It
know what they
wasn't-
announced, but
yeah,
what was
I don't-
in the
it-
stadium?
it was like-
30?
I don't know. I didn't look like that, but it was
Mosky?
very
Because I wondered, hell may have frozen over that day. If the Savannah Bananas drew more fans than the Cleveland Browns, that's it.
Well,
There are icicles on Hell's Gate.
I mean, listen, it was not a lot of people at that Browns.
I wonder what it was.
I
wonder,
I would venture that the
Bananas-
Bananas probably won that.
Hell's frozen over.
Yeah.
No, the Bananas lost, by the way. The Firefighters beat them.
No, I'm talking
How
about the
often
contender.
do they lose?
Coach said it's pretty competitive. It's
Yeah.
not like
Oh.
the Globetrotters. It's very much.
Oh, okay. So I like that idea, actually, because the Globetrotters, you knew who was going to win. Washington Generals were like 1 in 10,500 or something.
Yeah, no. He said this was much closer, and they're adding a new team, by the way, because right now it's
Really?
it's always the Bananas versus the Party Monkeys.
Party animals.
Oh, so
they're
they're going to
adding
add
the Firefighters,
Oh.
which will be a third team, which is part of their rotating
You know
cast.
what, Mike? They could do this. I'm surprised they haven't yet because demand is so high. What happens when demand is high? You increase production.
Yeah.
There needs to be a second unit. What they do is transferable. It's a show. And if you had 8 Savannah Banana teams that could tour the country all simultaneously, you make 8 times the profits.
But are they going to be as good once you're down to the 8th team?
So the ball itself, I haven't seen.
No, I mean not
You mean
play
the act?
baseball, the act.
Well,
yeah.
like I said, I think that part's transferable. It's entertainment. They just duplicate it 8
Right.
times.
But can the guys do all these flips and all these weird, crazy things?
There's a lot
they
of
do?
freaks out there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did you see the fastest guy on
On
hands?
hands? Yeah, I saw that.
I
I saw
didn't even
that.
know what to say to that.
Well, what I thought was interesting, somebody told me that I have a friend that went and had a great time.
Really?
And he told me that all the tickets are the same, that you randomly, and so it's not like the rich people get to sit in the front.
You're right.
All the tickets are the same, and then you randomly end up in a seat. You could end up in the first row, you can end up in the last
Which I
row.
love, by the way.
Yeah,
Great
which is
idea.
awesome.
Yeah, the Bananas are, I'm sure someone's writing a book on them now if they haven't already. It is an absolute textbook on marketing.
Incredible.
And I'm sure the manager talked about it when he was in here, but I've heard other interviews with different executives with the club, and they say everything they do, everything,
Yeah.
surrounds the fan. The question they ask on, are we going to add this? Will the fans like it? What do the fans want about that?
Jay, the name of the company's Fan First Entertainment.
Which is apropos.
Well, I
They
mean,
live up to that mantra.
it is
do.
interesting, too, because they've been around, 9 years? And I feel
Right.
like it just blew up, really, in the last few.
Do you remember when Deshaun Watson's profile was, or the profile of Deshaun Watson's accuser was on HBO Real Sports?
Yes.
The Bananas was the other segment there.
Yeah.
It was one of the other segments that night.
Okay, that's
and
funny, yeah.
So a lot of people were exposed to it with that. But you know where they've really made inroads? Social media.
Yeah,
And they're on
and-
ESPN Plus now.
And he actually talked
Yeah, but
And
that has-
all
signed
their
with-
games
did
are
they get-
broadcast on YouTube.
They are, but I also read that they got a deal next year for TBS.
Yep.
which
Yep.
is brilliant.
They're blowing up.
They're bringing it
Blowing
mainstream.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that the fans can catch a ball and that can be an out in the game.
Isn't that something?
That's how the game Saturday here ended. A fan
On a foul ball?
Yep, fan caught a foul ball to end the game.
Look at the drama that they build on a foul ball into the
I know.
stands, where normally it's out of sight, out of mind.
It's amazing.
Well, all of this centers around Tyvus getting a tryout for them. I may groove a couple for you today, because honestly, in all honesty, I would love to see you in a yellow uniform.
First of all, I don't need you to groove anything. I need you to throw me your best pitch.
Yeah, Jay, you can't do that because it would ruin the integrity of
You're
the
right.
challenge.
You're right, and I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I thought about it for half a second, and then I heard Tyvus's voice ringing in my head. I took you deep.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Listen, if
Let's go.
this ball, I know it's a slim chance in your mind, and it's 100% in mine. If that ball goes over the fence, you don't even talk to me about baseball.
Tyvus is going to drop the bat. That's
Never
it.
will. You'll never hear me say, and quit. I played my last.
Look at that
Our
camera.
team right now is
Look at that
10-0.
camera and say that. One
We
more
are the
time.
only team in 5 leagues in Northeast Ohio that are undefeated. I will quit if you take me deep. I will walk away. I'll take my spikes off.
Oh, my
Listen,
God.
I'll take off my spikes.
It'll be your retirement.
I'll put them on the rubber of Progressive Field,
me do
and I
it.
will walk into retirement.
I gotta do some push-ups before I
Wait, Tyvus won't be doing the KYC half hour because he's going to go next door into our weight room
I gotta go in the weight
and
room.
pump up.
And with that, guys, let's hop into our
love
first
you,
topic
Ty.
of the day. We're on
Love you
YouTube
too.
until about 11:30 today. We're recording the WKYC show. Back to normal programming on Monday, but today we are an hour early. We appreciate everyone for waking up a little early and hanging out with us. And we're getting to our first topic, which comes from Browns Joint Practice after a word from our title sponsor today, which is FanDuel. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the ultimate Cleveland sports show. So, guys, the Browns wrapped up joint practices with the Vikings yesterday, and the reports on the Browns' offense were certainly mixed. Some people said they looked good. Other people said not so much, and it kind of depends on who you were reading and who they work for.
Who said they looked
where
good,
come.
by the way?
There were reports out.
I didn't see much.
Four from the Cleveland side of things saying the offense looked pretty good.
Okay.
The Vikings reporters said it looked bad. Pick and choose what you want in between. Ben
Right.
Solak's a guy who works for ESPN who was there. This was his tweet on the 2 days of joint practices. He was here for both. From Ben Solak, 2 days of joint practice with the Browns and Vikings, only one takeaway. Either these are the best 2 defenses in the league or these offenses, ...
Fill in the blank.
We have talked about the Browns' offense a ton. Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, this receiver core, the offensive line without Bill Callahan. How do they respond? And I feel like, for the most part, we've all been pretty optimistic about the ceiling of this offense.
Mm-hmm.
But should we have a little more concern with all the changes, the uncertainty in Deshaun coming back from shoulder surgery, the uncertainty with Chubb, the uncertainty with the offensive line? Jack Conklin and Jed Wills haven't practiced yet. No Jed Wills. Should we have a little more skepticism that this offense can be as good as maybe we thought it could be, G?
This is your chance.
No, I mean,
How the knees feeling today?
man, I'm not very skeptical. I am a little worried about James Hudson though, man. That's the part of it that gets me because like what some of the reports is the pass rush. There was a lot of sacks, people being in the backfield, and James Hudson is not it. I'm just keeping real with you. Like he's one of them dudes where I know we've seen him before, but I would rather not see him. Like it's just like that is what it is. And I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that there is no word on Jed Wills. Not at all. I mean, this is now the second preseason game. We have not seen him since last year. And from all I've heard is it was supposed to be it wasn't, I don't know, any knee injuries, minor knee injuries, but it wasn't like no torn ACL or nothing.
Right.
So I haven't heard from him. I don't know what the update on Jack Conklin is. And my thing about offensive linemen is, Tyvus, when you start dealing with injuries, it take a little bit of time for offensive linemen to get in game shape. You be out there sucking wind. You can't breathe. You like, look, you play 3-4 plays in a row. To me, yes, when it comes to this offensive line, I'm a little concerned about it because I don't know what's up with that left tackle position is pivotal.
Well, I wouldn't call it the entire offensive line. It's just that left tackle spot. And I think that it was an uphill battle because, coming into the season, you thought Jed Wills would be back and you thought that you would make Jack Conklin your swing tackle. Mm-hmm. But what happened is they took James Hudson, who I think every year he's been at least a right tackle, right? Because he went up against T.J. Watt and it was bad. Yeah, right tackle. You swung him up to left tackle, and you expect him to. You don't have Bill Callahan anymore. You got Andy Dickerson, whose probably philosophy is a little different than Bill Callahan, and you expect that to be good for week 1, and I think that that's a concern. As far as the offense goes, I had my doubts about it because anytime you bring in a new OC, Tommy Reese and all of these offensive minds, Deuce Staley, all these offensive minds, and you put them together and try to come up with a playbook, it's ultimately always takes the offense longer to click than the defense. Defense is all reactive. You can go out there, see something, and just react. Offense, it's about timing. It's about getting the right schemes, getting the right routes, all of those things. So I knew that it was going to start off slow. But to see that we can't even have protection, like this is the time to figure it out because Dallas is coming. How are you going to get Deshaun Watson clean? Because you're talking about Micah Parsons. You're talking about D-Law. You're talking about all these good pass rushers. I thought putting the Joko there, Chip, put the running back to that side, help block something. You have to come up with a plan. But if these ends is in the backfield, then the season's a disaster before we even get started. And they might need to make a trade or something.
Bull Michael Parsons, week 1. That man he has the capabilities of Myles Garrett of winning you the whole game.
No doubt. He could wreck it, certainly. And yes, right now, today, compared to maybe a month ago, I have some major concerns about the Browns offense. I think all over the place I have concerns. You guys have referenced some of them. You have all these new coaches in the mix. I know Kevin Stefanski is still calling the plays, but there's a lot that goes into preparation and making the game plan, and all these guys are new. We've barely seen Deshaun Watson on the field. He hasn't played in the preseason. He's played 11 games in 3 years. We've heard about him being rusty. I've talked about him being rusty. Well, that's got to end at some time. I've got other starting quarterbacks on other teams playing a little bit of all the preseason games, and Deshaun's not. I'm not saying that's his fault. It might just be
He'll play Seattle.
Yeah, but I was like, why not play him more? Right. I don't know. And we don't know when Nick Chubb's going to be ready. He looks great physically, but we don't know when he's going to be ready. The other running backs are okay, but they're not Nick Chubb. Jerry Jeudy and Deshaun Watson have only played together in practice. The left tackle thing is the biggest concern because I don't even understand why we're not getting any updates. He had that surgery on his knee 9 months ago.
I don't either.
It was November 10th.
But Bull, is it as troubling to you as that is to me? I know you mentioned it. Nothing?
Maybe he has some setbacks.
Well, why is it?
Okay, then let us know.
Why aren't we getting any answers on that?
Usually when you don't hear anything, it tends to be bad news.
Yes.
So we have to assume that this isn't good because they love to trumpet good news.
James Hudson is terrible.
No,
he's terrible.
If we're in big trouble if he's playing big minutes this year.
Yeah. Especially at left tackle. That's the quarterback's blind side.
There's a lot of guys, Dalvin Tomlinson, Greg Newsome, Nick Chubb, Jack Conklin, Jed Wills.
Yeah.
Like, that's 5 we ain't heard nothing about.
No. And at least on the defense, they have the same coaching staff. Almost every player on that defense was there last year. So I'm a little less worried about that. And the defense played well for the most part. I know they showed some cracks at the end of the year. But the offense was middling, and there's a lot of new guys. And their most important guy is coming off another injury. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling that confident heading into week 1 on the offense.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bull.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of feel that a little bit. The question originally was, should we be more skeptical? I don't think we should be more skeptical.
We just
like
are.
You,
yeah.
I was skeptical at the end of last season. I said, okay, will Nick Chubb be ready for the starter?
Yeah.
What's Deshaun Watson going to be? When you think about what the question marks are, guys, they're the pillars of any offense.
Yeah.
Let's start with the quarterback. The biggest question mark of all.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's going to look like. We'll probably see him for maybe 2 series, maybe 3 in Seattle. What will we learn from that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I love your point about this offense. You can change coaches on the defensive side. There's going to be hiccups.
Yeah.
When you change coach coaches on the offensive side, you could have diarrhea.
Yeah.
Because there's, it is. It's you. I thought you put it perfectly. On defense, man, where's the ball and react.
Right.
On offense, it's an orchestra of 11 pieces, and if it's not finely tuned, it's gonna hurt your ears.
Right.
And so that's my fear. Quarterback is a big question mark. Running back is a huge question mark. And let's go beyond Nick Chubb, guys. Who is the guy?
That's a good
Who
question.
is the guy?
I watched Jerome Ford, and he was okay last year.
He was
but
okay.
Yeah,
He got better as the season went
I
on.
was not impressed. The 2 carries that I see him get, and there's 2 carries. I'm a sample size guy.
Talking about in the preseason?
In preseason,
He played?
it's
He had 2 carries.
He runs around like Bambi Tyvis. He's tipping
Wait
out
a minute.
high.
Wait a minute. Wait. When you looked at these 2 carries, was it blocked properly?
Bro, listen.
Is it like Trent Richardson where he's just missing the whole gap, or was it like nothing there to
he
begin
just
with?
it be dancing around.
Yeah,
I'm like,
if it's nothing there, G, he got
hey,
no choice.
In the league, ain't no dancing. You stick your nose in
make
there
a decision
and you
and
get
go.
3 yards.
I heard.
You're not wrong.
I interviewed for my podcast a guy I think you know, Sean King, the former
Oh,
Buccaneers.
I covered Sean and worked with
I
him.
saw that interview.
So
How was he, by the way?
He was
good?
great.
Good.
He was great. I talked to him about Deshaun Watson. I'll get to that in a second, but I thought of it because you mentioned the running back situation. And I asked him about Jerome Ford, and I said, are we just being too tough on him because we're used to seeing Nick Chubb and he's great, and so anything beyond that doesn't look great? He goes, no. He goes, Jerome Ford's a good back. The problem with Jerome Ford is, like, this system that the Browns run in terms of running game is perfect for Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
But for Jerome Ford, he's more of a guy that would fit in Miami.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
in San Francisco,
No, that's-
kind of
that's
what
a
they
good point.
do. He's not as good a fit for this offense. He also said, I was asking him about Watson, and I was like, what about the rustiness and mental hurdles he's got to go over? And he's just like, you know what? Guy's just got to play ball. He's getting paid a zillion. He didn't want to hear any of that. He didn't want to hear about, he says he still believes in him, but he's like, I don't want to hear about rust. I don't want to hear about mental stuff. He's getting paid a lot of money. I think, the guys of that era are pissed. These guys make so much more money, I think, to some degree. But he was like, he's got to go out there and play some winning football.
Yeah, but he's not wrong by pointing out the money.
Yeah.
Because you were paid to be a next level elite quarterback
Right.
that takes the team to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Haven't seen that. And you're right about the excuses. And I think even in Deshaun's mind, Deshaun knows I've played the suspension card.
Yeah.
I've played the injury card. I'm out.
That's
I got
it. This
one
is
card
it.
left. My play.
That's it.
What I do.
No more excuses.
So and by the way, I mentioned all of the things that I'm concerned about. I didn't mention the wide receiver room because really outside of Amari Cooper, I know Jerry Jeudy's guy. What's the first word you use on him? It begins with a P.
Yeah.
Potential.
Yeah.
What's the first word you use with all of our receivers? Potential. Except probably David.
I see them give somebody some work on a one-on-one.
I saw that too. I like that. That was nice. But
you see that?
Again, it's
Ooh,
practice.
put him in the blender.
It's practice. I'd rather see it than not.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's practice.
I like that.
So I mean, and then the offensive line. So I've got concerns.
Yeah.
Everywhere, and it needs to be pointed out that last year, in years where Njoku and Cooper had their best years as Browns, the guy delivering the football to both of them isn't here. The guy where they racked up most of their damage.
Especially in Njoku.
What they said.
Especially in Njoku.
What they
but when you look
said-
at Cooper and the 200 yards he had in
Right.
the playoff game.
But at least Cooper has had big seasons other places.
You're right.
He was still really good his
we haven't
first year
seen
here.
that from Njoku
Njoku
with
had his breakout.
anybody
Yes.
other than Joe Flacco.
Right.
And he's gone.
The
That's
good
true.
news is, from all the accounts and all the people that I talked to with the Browns, Njoku has been by far the best Browns player in training camp.
Okay.
That's
Just
good.
him getting with Mike Vrabel and learning some things has really elevated his game.
Great.
They said he's poised for a really good season. So I'm
to
not
hear
worried.
it.
I'm not worried about David Njoku. And as far as the offense goes, like I said, it's going to take some time. But I think the saving grace for them is that they believe that defense is going to come out and be dominant. And if the defense is playing well, we're not asking y'all to score 35 points
Right.
a game. We just need y'all to score 21 maybe.
I don't know if Sean King talked about this, but in his era with the Buccaneers, it was very much a, guys, get to 2 touchdowns.
That's it.
If we can accumulate 14 points, we're going to win because he had Hall of Famers at every level
That's
on
right.
that defense behind him.
He did
so
talk about
now,
that, yeah.
I think that this, I'm not ready to compare them to the Buccaneers defense of the late 90s, early 2000s, but this defense is damn close. We've got some pieces on this defense.
Yeah.
And Jay, if shout out to Earl wherever he at.
He upstairs.
If Martin Emerson want to play like that against Justin Jefferson, I like that mentality. He said Denzel Ward was gone. He said, no, I'm going to take the opportunity to lock one of the best receivers up in the game. And Justin Jefferson came back and said, yo, bro, to play against a guy like Martin Emerson, to play against a defense like that, like, we going to be better. Like, look, if you going to blanket Justin Jefferson like that
was good defense.
That's great
That was
defense.
good
Remember,
job.
Tyvus, I showed you a clip on that. Remember?
Let me walk you through why this is so good. Spin that again.
Here you go.
So when you in the red zone and you doing man-to-man, the first thing you don't want to do is you don't want to back up. You want to let them beat you in there. And then you play ball, ball. Like, you're supposed to be in between the receiver and the quarterback. And he does a great job of turning around. The mistake that a lot of DBs make is once Justin Jefferson went past them, they turn around and look for the ball, and those receivers will lose you on the route. So what he did was he faced him up, got him in the back of the end zone, read the play, seen where he was going, boom, turned around, made a play on the ball. Me personally, I would have pushed him out the back of the end zone, and we wouldn't even have to worry about the route. But that right there is a great thing by taking the interception is great. So Martin Emerson, really good rep. That right there is textbook of how you play a receiver in the red zone.
Remember about a couple of weeks ago, I sent you a clip of that when guys get shook up when they be in trail technique and the guy go one way, another way. And I said, man.
It's like, this is cheating.
This is cheating.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, the dude came back and taught it. He said, no. Why would you do that? He said, when he slows his feet down, you're mirroring him. You don't need to worry about the fakes, bro. You just and I said, Tyvus, this is a cheat code. Why people don't be playing it like that?
Listen, that's the trail technique. When you see y'all play Madden, 2-man under, when you know you got a safety over the top, you supposed to let the receiver get about a yard in front of you. You want him to go right past you. Why? So you can undercut everything. If they throw a deep ball, that's the safety's responsibility. Yeah. Your responsibility is to undercut. Slants, digs, comebacks, anything like that, you should be underneath it. So you actually want them to go past you and get about a yard or two in front of you. It makes your angle better. When they break their route, you can undercut it even better. So great technique.
Can I ask a question based on Ben's tweet? He said either these are the two best defenses in the NFL or the offenses ... I would expect the Vikings defense to struggle.
Yes.
Or the Vikings offense to struggle because they are going against one of, if not the best defenses in the league.
And their quarterback, Sam Darnold.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I didn't expect anything from the Vikings offense. But when we flip it over to the Vikings defense, do we think they're going to be a top 5 defense?
I don't think so.
I don't.
I don't know who they got outside of Harrison Smith.
And that's my point. My point is, I think the reason the Vikings offense struggled is because, they're going against one of the best defenses. Perhaps the reason the Browns offense struggled doesn't have as much to do with the quality of the Vikings defense as it does to do with where this offense is just a couple of months into a new regime.
It's all new pieces. Like people forget, like last year, like Watson played 5, 6 games, and he was in and out when he was playing those games. You look at Jerry Jeudy's brand new. We don't know what he's talking about. You look at Elijah Moore, the fact that he only played a couple games with Watson. Jameis Winston in the twos is still the same thing. Brand new quarterback, brand new system, brand new everything. The only thing that's the same is Kevin Stefanski calling the plays, but he ain't creating the plays. Like I think it's a collaboration. And then you put on top of that, you got a swinging tackle that is like a position at left tackle that's going to be a very difficult position to block up. And you got Nick Chubb ain't there, and you got a running back that, we just talked about it, he be dancing a little bit. So you can't count on the run game like you used to, like where you can just say, screw it, we're gonna play action and run the ball.
Well, have we made enough? I know you guys briefly mentioned it. Last year, there was one unit offensively that was constantly praised, week in and week out. That was the offensive line.
Right, yeah.
Because, like you said, it was a swinging gate. It's like, who do we have up there today?
Right.
The one constant was how well they played in the face of major adversity when it came to injury. And we attributed that to the offensive line coach in Bill Callahan. Every guest we had that knew offensive line play, when they came on our show last year, and Lomas Brown comes to mind, said, listen, you cannot overstate the importance of what Bill Callahan has meant to this offense. That's another one of the things that I focus on with this offense. The thing that we took for granted last year with all of the injury that ended up being one of our positives, with Callahan gone and not being here to game plan around these injuries and to coach up around these injuries, this could be really difficult this year, the offensive line play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair.
Am I making?
No, I think that's fair from an outsider's view. I don't know what you think, Thomas, but
when he left, I said that would be the major concern because not only was he the offensive line coach, he was the run game coordinator.
He was.
And I still think partially the reason to why he decided, outside of coaching with your son, I think that they told him we're going to a more pass-heavy offense.
And
so he was like, what they're going to do for me? So now you think about going to get a Ken Dorsey and a Tommy Reese who specialize in this spread offense. That's totally different than downhill, than under center and getting downhill. Right. You're talking lateral movement with the running backs now, and they got to try to find a gap and then get vertical. So I don't know what Andy Dickerson's specializes in when it comes to the run game. I don't know if Deuce Staley, I don't even know who's in charge of the run game anymore. But I do know that it's going to look completely different because they're going to operate more out of the shotgun.
You played defense, Tyvus, and you played on some really good, sound Buckeyes defense, right? Mm-hmm. And when I always look at it like this, when Cardale Jones went into the game and you had your top two quarterbacks, Braxton Miller and what's his name?
Joe Thomas Barrett IV?
Yeah, JT Barrett. One of the things I know y'all did was y'all probably had a meeting or some conversation other like defensively, like, look, we don't know what we're gonna get from Cardale.
Oh yeah, we said that with not Cardale. We said that with the offense.
See, right?
You
don't know what we're getting, so you know what we got to do. We got to go 3 and out. We got to get the football, and if we get the football, we got to score. So. You put a mindset together to say, listen, we understand you're a little limited right now, but we're going to hold you down. We'll carry you for the first, however long we can do it. Now, for the bright spot, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel with the Browns is you got Myles Garrett, you got that defense, right? And so the first 3 or 4 games, you might not see fireworks offensively. Some games might be a little ugly. Some games, the passing won't be there, and it's going to take a little time for them to catch up, especially with the people that they're playing in the beginning of the season.
Isn't that even more reason to put these guys out there in the preseason? And let's iron out some of these wrinkles now?
Well, game 1...
They're probably not going to show nothing,
they're not.
They're not.
No, even if they're just working on timing issues.
Well, they did that in practice this week.
There's no threat of getting hit.
There's no crowd. There's no fear.
So that's why they did it. So they could get it. So they still protecting their quarterback.
Look how much that changes. You're jogging, and then you're on a dead sprint week 1 against Dallas, and you guys mentioned it. That is not a team. I understand if you're playing a team that isn't known for its defense in week 1. Okay, we can maybe iron out some of these things on the fly. But your learning curve goes up dramatically when Dallas comes in.
But it depends on, to me, that ultimately depends on how much they play in Seattle. If they play a half, okay, because that's enough time to me.
Is it?
A half is good.
Wow.
Because if now if they completely missed the whole thing, or if they played in the first or second game but didn't play in the third preseason game, you're essentially getting 2 weeks off, so the timing is gone anyway.
Right, it is. But you know what scares me? If they do play a half and they look awful, it's not like it's week 2 and you can say, okay, we're going to take more reps in week 3 because we need them. If you look awful in that half, there is nothing saving you from the Dallas Cowboys.
Did they look good in week 3 against Kansas City last year?
Honestly, I don't remember. The preseason to me is gone the second it happens. But in terms of results, I'm just looking at it in terms of reps. It's live speed. It's not even really full speed because full speed you're going to see with Dallas.
Yeah.
But it is live speed, handling a crowd. You know, I don't know what the crowd's going to do in Seattle in a preseason game, but that's a tough place to play. You know that well.
Oh,
but
yes.
The alternative is this, guys. You could be the Browns and not play your guys, or you could be the Minnesota Vikings and McCarthy's out for the year.
But he didn't get hurt in the game.
I'm just saying. I mean, he
got
hurt in the first game.
Did he?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. He tore his meniscus, kept playing.
Oh, okay. I thought he got hurt in practice.
The next day, yeah.
And still, we've said on this show a million times, you can't live in those fears.
They
have a luxury. J.J. McCarthy is a rookie. They weren't counting on him. They didn't think they was going to be good. It's different. Deshaun Watson tears his knee up. We're done.
But
I'll just do the show from home.
He tears his knee up in the preseason or the first regular season.
At least it counted.
I mean, does the Jet fans feel better that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on the 6th play of the first game?
I guarantee he ain't going to play no preseason this year. I wouldn't put him out there.
I mean, Burrow was hurt. He's playing in the preseason.
Well, look, to each his own.
Yeah.
What I'll say is, I believe if you play in the last game of the year,
Yeah.
and you was only going to play one series the first game, maybe 2 series the second game, if you play a whole half the third game, that means you might get 4 series, 5 series.
Aaron Rodgers ain't playing in the preseason because he's 40 years old.
And does he need it? Like, he understands the difference between practice speed and real life game speed.
Listen, at this point,
Yeah.
every quarterback should understand what it is.
But then why play him at all? They're going to play him in the third game.
Whoa.
If you're so
you
worried
know where
about
it's
injury.
going, right?
Because you have to play Deshaun in this one because it's a new offense.
Yeah, I don't want to see him in this offense
No,
for the
I
first time
agree.
against
I
the
think
Dallas
he
Cowboys.
should play.
Yeah.
But G's point is I don't want to play him. He's
Oh, no,
gonna-
he has to
He gonna
play.
play in Seattle.
Oh, you talking about the other two? Yeah, I don't care about it. The first one I don't care about. A lot of people don't.
I'm talking about the
second
second
one. They had joint practices, so
And
you
he-
don't need
and-
to put him
and
out there in
he-
the game.
and he-
Third one, yeah, you need to play.
And he pretty much took every single rep.
Yeah.
Even the twos didn't get reps. He took all of them.
I'll be curious to see because Burrow played in the first preseason game, obviously coming off an injury too. They're having joint practice with the Bears.
Yeah, how
this
much will
week.
he play in week 2?
I don't know if he's going to play. I'm not sure.
Have you heard anything yet?
No, I haven't paid close enough attention to it, but
Yeah.
and we'll see. But I mean, it's a tough test for the Browns, on both sides of the ball against the Cowboys.
Bless you.
Thank you. Because now they're kind of one-dimensional on offense. They don't really have I don't even know. I guess Zeke Elliott's their starting
What do
running
you mean
back.
you guess?
I mean,
You
he's
guess.
not very good.
It
at
ain't
this
no
point.
guess. Zeke is number
But he's
one.
not that good. You know he's not that good.
Zeke
at this
coming
point.
back. Zeke going for 1,000 yards. And
But
10
Dak
touchdowns this season.
is an excellent
Bucket.
quarterback. I mean, he's a top
Love
10
your loyalty.
quarterback, and you're playing against C.D. Lamb, a top 5 wide receiver. I mean, that's a challenge for the defense.
Don't they got that other defense? What's his name?
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah. That's tough.
He's kind of gone under the radar the last year.
That's still tough. I don't like that, man. They figure that tackle thing out, McNuggets.
Now,
Gotta
you
figure
know
that.
what?
It's a real issue.
All these concerns are going to come out there and put up 35 against
Yeah.
the Cowboys. And we're
Well.
like, hey, we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
It's the beauty of football, Jay, and it's the beauty of why you can't put too much stock into
No.
any of the preseason joint practice.
or into what we say.
and
Because
in that too.
It's all a guess. It's speculation.
Yeah.
But it feels
don't
to
know
me
yet, yeah.
like I put a bow on this by asking Tyvus because I wanted to earlier in the segment. It feels like the preseason is irrelevant as it's ever been, and it's always been irrelevant. And with the league pushing for 18 games, to me,
Gone.
it feels like it is gone. The
Yeah,
preseason is done with, and they're going to instead do a lot more of these joint practices with teams, and that will be where teams get
Well,
their experience.
Well, the joint practices is more because you get to actually work on the things
Right.
that you want to
Right.
work on. There's so much stock that's being in that because that team is either running an offense that you're going to see defensively throughout the year or they're going to run a defense that you're going to see throughout the year. You got to get your work in and figure out what plays work against that offense or that defense. So they put all their stock in there. The games is vanilla. They're not doing anything.
Would you
that
be okay with that if the preseason went away?
See, my only issue is from a undrafted to a
Yeah.
guy that's battling. You need that game film because other teams
Yeah.
not going to say, "Let me see your practice film."
Well,
They're not doing
but every
that.
player in that situation is in the same boat, so they're going to have to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, they
I
probably
think
make
they're
it
gonna
two.
expand the rosters. They're going to have to expand the roster, so more guys will get jobs.
Yeah.
And yes, I think what they're going to do is each team will have 2 joint practices, and then on the final day of joint practice, you play it at the stadium, and people pay a few bucks to go to it, even though it's a scrimmage
Kind of like
and not a game.
kind of like the Buckeye spring game.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
It's just like a glorified
No quarterback
scrimmage,
hits.
but they've got to sell tickets because they got to make money.
Yeah, and people will go.
People want to see it.
You're not getting ready. You got to have at least 2 up. I think if anytime they add a game, they take a preseason.
I
game.
bet you.
Okay.
I think there's going to be no games.
I don't think
just
that's-
scrimmage.
I think that's where
Yeah.
it feels like that's where it's
Yeah.
going. Okay, Mike, sorry.
Let's talk a little guards, guys, after a quick word from LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has all the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to finding the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The Guardians are getting set to take on the Brewers this weekend and the Yankees after. We have 100+ games of information on the Guardians. I'm curious, in your guys' opinion, can we learn anything new about this Guardians team over the next 2 series against 2 very quality opponents in New York and Milwaukee that we haven't already learned, or something we don't already know about this team before?
I don't think you can really learn anything new. I think you can increase your confidence. On the Guardian show this morning, if you didn't watch it, I asked Zach Meisel, I said, is this the most confident you've been in the starting rotation since Shane Bieber got hurt? And we kind of talked about it for a little bit. In the end, we both decided yes.
Yeah.
Now, it may be short-sighted because Matthew Boyd's made 1 start. It was great, but it's 1 start. Alex Cobb's made 2, and his second start was really good. Obviously, Gavin Williams is coming off his best start of the year, and we know Tanner Bybee, for the most part, has been very good this year.
He's been the one reliable.
Yes.
I hate to say that because Lively has too.
Although the last 2 starts, he's struggled.
He seems to be going the other way.
Yeah. So Matthew Boyd and Cobb feel like, and we don't know, and Matthew Boyd doesn't have a great tracker. Cobb does. Cobb's been a pretty solid pitcher. They feel like significant upgrades right now for Cantillo and Carrasco and the way McKenzie pitched this year and the way Allen's pitched this year. So I do have more confidence. So that can be increased. Like I've really got my eye on Gavin Williams tonight, going against Aaron Savali, by the way. Because Gavin Williams has been inconsistent since he's been back, which is not a shocker because he missed half the season. Right. He's still, he's kind of towards the end of spring training now at this point. But if he can follow up what was clearly his best start of the year and his most efficient start of the year his last time out and do it again tonight against a pretty surprising Brewers team that's been very good, I will be really impressed. I don't know that I'll learn anything, but I'll be more confident in some of the guys who have pitched well recently.
Okay.
For me, it's still the hitting. I mean, the hitting took a big dive. What was that, July? We couldn't hit anything.
Yeah.
And it seems like ever since we got into August, probably the end of July, the hitting has improved. Still not has been consistent as I like. I mean, Jimenez had 3 hits 2 nights ago, which was, if you continue to do that, man.
Because he's been a disappointment.
Yeah, he do that.
Well, and he's still not hitting. Now, he got a double that last at bat that kind of sealed the game.
I think he's
on Wednesday.
approaching 260.
Yeah, and it's just.
But we need it in
production.
We need it
it's
in
all
the
singles.
playoffs.
The hitting he's doing.
We still need it in the playoffs, and
But
I think that these 2 series, when they play the Yankees, is it in New York?
It is in
Yes.
New York, yeah.
Okay, you talked about it. There's some
Yeah, I
players,
want nothing to do with the Yankees in a deciding game in the playoffs.
I don't either.
Not in the Bronx.
Especially there.
Not in the Bronx.
Yeah.
So for me, that's an important game because if they do have to go there in a big place like the Yankees is,
Yeah.
I want to see if they perform. Can they hit these home runs, or is it the moment too big? It's too much crowd noise and all of these things. Does that moment get to them? So for me, I'm putting a lot of stock in that Yankees series because it's the Yankees.
I'm not getting enough production out of the rest of these dudes. Like besides
Talking about the hitting?
Yeah, besides Naylor, Ramirez, Kwan's gonna give you something.
I
at
need
the top.
Lane Thomas.
But that's like.
How's Quan doing in his search for 400?
I
haven't seen you in a while.
Please
By the way-
let G finish his statement.
By the way, that 400, boy.
He's now 3rd in the American League in batting.
Let's just say your hair is safe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But other than that, man, look, some of that stuff gonna dissipate. Like some of these guys, y'all know this. You can't be counting on. If you're gonna count on Jimenez or some of these other dudes in Tyler Freeman in the playoffs, that's not happening. These guys are not getting no hits in the playoffs, and if they do get hits, these are singles. These is I'm on base for once. There's not no 3-run home runs. Even the home runs they've been getting have been solo shots. So for me, I need them to have some consistent production.
Dang, that's terrible.
Look at that.
Titus is going to have a better line against me today.
That is terrible.
So if you got in Yankee Stadium, you got Lane Thomas, you got Will Brennan.
In fairness to him, it's only been 2 weeks.
I'm just saying though. But we talk about going to Yankee Stadium and you down 2. And it's 2 ducks on the pond. Is he hitting a 3-run home run?
Who?
What's funny is if you look at the back of his baseball card, you'd say, yeah, he's got a pretty good chance.
Sure.
But just don't look at the 2024
Don't look
in a
at this right
Cleveland
now.
uniform.
Give him some time.
All I need to know is when they go to the Yankees, I need John Kinsey to play. Because if John Kinsey sent it over the fence, I don't want to hear nothing else. No more. That kid should be playing every single day. And he's going to get me my 20 home runs.
He's going to play a lot right now. Now, I will we do need to keep in mind, and I said the other day that John Kenzie, right now, because there's so many weak spots in the bottom lineup, and he's got prodigious power that you got to play him every day. But keep in mind, he's got holes in his game. Like,
Of course he does.
He does.
His plate discipline is terrible.
His plate discipline is terrible. That's going to be like, is he going to be Oscar Gonzalez and Franmil Reyes, or can he develop? Right?
Yeah.
He's got, and it's something that's hard to do during the season. But this offseason, he's got to become more disciplined at the plate, because when you make a mistake to him, he don't just hit a home run. He destroys the baseball.
Yes, he does.
He's a destroyer of baseball. I mean,
what he is.
Is it a mistake that they don't have, like, right now, everybody comes to the ballpark, and I like the fact that they come to the ballpark ready because you don't know if your number is going to be called today, right?
Yeah.
Does that work in playoff series?
No. We talked about that, Bull.
Does
And I don't think
work?
either one of us love that idea. In the playoffs, it's about rhythm.
Yeah.
Now, you get matchups based on starting pitching.
Sure.
Way more than you do in the regular season. But it's still, if you're getting 3 at-bats in a series, like, you just can't get into any rhythm.
Especially,
it's hard.
especially the way they play bullpens. You're not going to see a guy twice. You're going to get one
I
guy.
think the only way that works, and that's not really the case with the Guardians, is if it's somebody that has been a platoon player their whole career.
They're used to it.
You look at Jock Peterson of the Diamondbacks, who's having a great year. He don't play against lefties, period.
Yep, you're right.
So he only plays against righties. He knows that. It's been going on a couple of years, and he kills righties. So if you're used to that, but they don't have guys that are used to platooning because they were all starters in the minors or they've been starters in the majors.
Now, that's a great point. For me, I don't know that I can learn anything because, like you said, there's 100 games of hay in the barn.
Yeah.
The things I'll be looking for, how do our pitchers handle the superstar bats of the Yankees? Unlike the Guardians lineup, where you can work around the top 4, you can't do that with the Yankees. There's really, I mean, look.
I don't love the bottom of their lineup
I don't love it either,
It's
but
better
compared
than
to ours,
but
we've
yes.
got 3 guys in our lineup that don't hit their weight.
Yeah, right.
You can't have that, Bull.
No.
And so I think with the Yankees, you got to be very selective. Soto can't see pitches. Judge can't see pitches. It goes on too. It gets.
I mean,
it
Judge
gets pretty,
is ridiculous, right?
Judge is he's another world level right now.
And the fact that he has all that power and he's that big and he's second in batting average in the American League is insane.
That's what's scary. Now,
that's crazy.
He's been an abject
Bobby Witt Jr.
disaster in the playoffs.
Against the Guardians, especially. Yeah.
Like, he can't buy hits
It's
against
so
the Guardians.
bizarre.
At some point, as
Yeah.
that sample size gets larger, there will be not a regression to the mean, there will be an ascension
Yes.
to the mean.
Has to
And by
be,
the way,
yeah.
Progressive Field is now a hitter's ballpark.
To right.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Like,
It is.
he has threatening power all fields. Like, he
He can miss balls and they turn into
Yeah,
home
yeah,
runs.
yeah.
Give me John Kenzie over him any day.
Okay, that's I just big Christmas.
I want to let you know that I'm like Jock Peterson too.
Yeah.
You love right-handed
I
pitching.
destroy right here.
So I love the destroyer baseballs, by the way.
Yeah.
DOB. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before, but I love it. So yeah, I want to see how our pitchers handle the entire Yankee lineup, but in particular, can they work around their big bats at the top and
Yeah.
still get through innings? The saying is, man, that lineup flips fast. We were saying that when we played the Yankees in the playoffs a couple of years ago.
Right.
You're watching it, you're like, you got to be kidding me. They're at the top again?
Right.
Already? That's because there's no break at the bottom.
They did have a big. So they acquired Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins,
Right.
who was playing great, and now
hit a
he's
home
hurt.
run every
He's out.
game.
He might miss the rest of the year.
Oh, I didn't hear he was out for the rest of the year.
I don't know that it's certain that he's out for the rest of the year, but he's certainly going to be out for a while. He's definitely not going to play in this series.
that helps.
So
We're not going to learn anything in terms of we didn't
No,
see
no,
that
no,
coming.
no.
But there's certain things that you can look for. And here's the other thing that we haven't talked about. Yankee Stadium, when you agreed Yankee fans, they remember that not only till their death, but when they are born again and they're living another life, they remember what you did against them.
Yes.
And I bring all of that up to say this. Bo Naylor with remember that?
No, that was Josh.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Naylor.
Josh Naylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Remember
did-
this?
He did
Yes.
do that.
I have friends, and I know you do too. They literally say, "Oh, please give us the Guardians in the playoffs. Please, we got stuff for Josh Naylor."
Yeah.
And you just never live that down. You
It's tough.
never ever live that down.
And there's no doubt, and I hate the Yankees, hate them to my core. There is an intimidation factor of the pinstripes and that stadium. There's something
right.
to it. It is hard to win a series in that stadium.
Especially in
it's
the playoffs.
very hard to do. And this
Yeah.
is not an amazing Yankee team. It's a good Yankee team.
their
but it's not
pitching is
amazing.
they're suspect.
Yeah. I
They're
don't love their
suspect.
bullpen, but Yeah, if I had, they would be my last choice.
And guess
of,
what?
Of any team I
I
want.
always say
Yeah,
this.
I'm with you.
The other two games,
me the Orioles.
if you playing in the NBA, you can say, guys, we're gonna come out and play physical and play hard. In football, you can say, listen, we're gonna tackle, we're gonna be more physical. When you playing baseball, ain't no such thing as physical.
No.
That ball is coming 98 miles an hour. Either you hit it or you don't. You go back to the dugout. There is nothing that you can just get amped up for.
Well, I'll tell you this: the Guardians do have one intimidation factor that most teams don't have, and that's Emmanuel Clase.
Yes.
He's intimidating on the mound. There's no doubt. And I had one Mr. Corey Crawford, Rutgers track coach, text me yesterday because he wanted to debate. I said that Clase's not going to win the Cy Young.
Did you see that he is now the favorite on ESPN Cy Young Predictor?
I did not see that. And I'm surprised.
He is now the favorite.
I can't imagine that he'll win it. Now, if he's going, he will get more votes than any closer's
By the way, I
gotten in a long
love that
time.
Corey does that. I love that.
I love it. Love it. It was a good
Great.
conversation.
Why would he not?
Because if you have a
history,
because a starting pitcher with a 2.50 ERA 3 times the innings,
right,
and 3 times the strikeouts.
But this is a higher leverage position.
To that point, did you hear how? And I love this soundbite. I wish we had it. I should have requested it. Stephen Vogt was talking about the job of the closer. Yeah. And he was talking about something that Brad Ausmus, the former catcher, now he's in baseball. He said something that Brad had told him 3 years earlier because Vogt was saying, but this position is unlike any in sports.
Yeah.
And Brad Ausmus described it this way. Anybody can step up on a card table and walk around. Card table's kind of flimsy, and they can feel their way through it, and they can walk around and not have it collapse on them. Mm-hmm. But he said, now try doing it at 5,000 feet with no safety net. That's what being a closer is. Yeah. And I thought, when I heard him repeat that story, I thought, that's it. That's it. It is such a high leverage position. It's field goal kicker times 10. Because a field goal kicker is just one thing.
Bull, you got
coming on and kicking one kick.
You got to come on and you got to throw strikes now.
Right now. And he has done that.
Listen, it's hard to argue that he hasn't. He's had one of the all-time great seasons to this point. Yeah. Now, if he has any chance, he's basically got to give up no runs the rest of the season.
He's got to continue what he's doing.
He's got to be. There's going to be no slip-ups at all.
You're right.
One bad
and he
performance.
Almost had one last weekend.
Right, and one bad performance, his ERA goes over 1. The only chance he has is to have an ERA under 1, where you look at the ERA and you say, "Oh my God, that's insane." But you've only had 3 closers win the Cy Young ever. Mariano Rivera.
No, 9 have won it. Relievers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
But the last closer to win, I believe, was Eric Gagne.
He was,
20 years ago.
And he had one of those perfect kind of seasons.
And
Mariano never did it, Bull.
Which is crazy. He's the best closers, no even debate.
But did you see the graphic that was going around social media earlier this week?
About Mariano and Clase?
Comparing their first 4 full seasons.
Yeah, it was right, yeah.
Now look, Mariano was able to do it for what, 20?
Yeah.
So he's got a long way to go before you can put him in that conversation. However, you can't get to his status unless you start like he did. Yeah, and he has.
There's nobody else to compare him to, frankly, right now. Mariano Rivera is the only player to compare him to. Yeah, obviously, he's got to do it a lot longer. Right. I just don't think he can. The argument against Tarek Skubal, who's been the best pitcher in the American League, is that the Tigers are a middling team and they're not playing for anything. You got Corbin Burns. I think right now he'd probably finish 3rd. It's just when a lot of the guys who vote now are analytics-based, right? And when you have a pitcher that's throwing 3 times the innings and have 3 times the strikeouts, no matter how great you are as a closer, I think it's hard. There's again, better case for him than any closer we've seen in a long time. I'd just be very surprised if he won.
You're right, and we're going to tease down to the TV show. We're going to do an extended conversation on Emmanuel Clase. Is he the most dominant player at his position right now? In other words, is there more room between Clase and the second best reliever than there is between the best starter and the second best starter, or the best third baseman? We'll do that.
Right.
But one thing I want to wrap this up with, because I was surprised when I looked at it. I look at this a couple times during the season, and I hadn't done it since June. I looked at ESPN's Cy Predictor, and the amazing thing is Bull, they not only do they have Clase winning it, they have a point system, and I won't begin to try to say that I understand it. I don't. But on the point system, he's at 159.9, which is very, very high. Skubal's at 132.
Wow.
There is a huge gap right now.
And who's 3rd? Burns?
3rd is Burns, and he is at 125. So there's 30 points between Clase and Burns. I will say this. I always listen to Vegas on these things because they tend to know. Vegas leans heavily on history. He's still not the favorite to win the Cy in Vegas.
Yeah.
In fact, last time I looked, he had long odds.
Yeah.
But
It's like
Right.
8-1 right now. Last I saw.
Yeah.
where was Skubal? Do you remember?
I'll look it up by the end of
Okay.
the show.
All right.
All I want to know is Tanner Bybee going to receive one Cy Young vote?
No,
No.
probably not.
No.
You're safe. You're
No.
safe, Ty.
No.
All right, we're going to spend 5 minutes real quick on the Cavs. Their schedule was released yesterday. If you want to see a Cavs game this upcoming season, you better buy those tickets using the Game Time app. It is the easiest, fastest, most efficient way to buy tickets to any sporting event, concert, show, whatever you want online, and it's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball and the NBA, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Plus, the prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch or tip-off, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes all the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball and NBA tickets. You can customize your ticket buying experience with last-minute priority deals, zone deals, flash deals, all-in pricing, panoramic views from the seat before you actually click purchase. Plus, you'll get the Game Time ticket coverage, which makes sure you are covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. So take all the guesswork out of buying your tickets online with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So yesterday the Cavs got their 2024-2025 schedule released along with the rest of the NBA. Couple quick highlights in case you didn't do a deep dive through the schedule, but the Cavs opened the season on the second night of the season. That is on the road for the fourth straight year in Toronto on the 23rd. Their first home game on the 25th against former head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, an immediate homecoming for the Cavs and Bickerstaff. They have 16 national TV games, 16 backs-to-backs. They end the season on the 13th of April against Indiana. A couple more notes just to keep an eye on. They got 16 games in March. 10 of those 16 are on the road again. They have 2 different West Coast trips, and they're part of Group C in the Emirates NBA Cup. Ty, when you look at the schedule,
Wait, Mike, before you ask
Did you
Ty
just
this
mention
question.
the NBA Cup?
I needed a ninth ball.
And Mike said backs to backs. But
Back-to-backs. What did I say?
how many national TV games did they have last year? Do you remember?
15.
Oh,
so
wow,
it's
so they went down one.
No, I'm sorry,
went
17.
up.
It's
Oh,
one
they-
fewer
oh.
than last year. 17.
Oh, they have
one
16
fewer than
than
last
last
year.
year. Okay.
Okay.
The first thing that jumped out at me, first of all, I care zero about the NBA schedule. Zero.
I know.
It's like the Major League schedule. I do look at the last week just because I want to know, like, all right, if they're in a playoff race,
Right.
is this something that you can count on a couple of wins? But the first thing I thought of, that their first home game is against Detroit. It's their second game of the season. I hope Detroit plays this like a playoff game, because if they do, we got a great chance. Because JB's record in the playoff is not good. So, and I know that's not very nice. I know that's not very nice. But I could just see them, he's got 3 circles around that date.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
And I hope it's just me being extremely nervous about things I shouldn't be nervous about. But that would be an awful loss. So win that one. Win your home opener against
Yeah.
Detroit. Other than that, it's not like the NFL schedule where you can get into it really.
No.
I look at the NBA schedule and I'm like, okay, there it is.
Are they playing on Christmas Day? They never play on
They're
Christmas
not.
Day, right?
No, their most marquee, I guess, game essentially is New Year's Eve, which is not super marquee, but
That's
it's
not
one of a
marquee at
couple.
all.
They
That's
have a
off
West.
Broadway.
Yeah, but it's a nationally televised game against a prominent West Coast opponent
Man,
on that road trip.
they told you exactly what they feel about them by Minimowski and them, that schedule. They went ahead and minus all them little games. Look, man, they was like, oh, did the Cavs make any moves?
Nope.
We're still waiting on those moves.
They have not added a single player, right?
That is wild.
No.
I've never listen.
They fired their coach.
In the world of doubling down, this is the greatest double down in history.
Doubling down.
This is you split aces. You done split an ace and then you split it again and you split it again and you put all your house on it.
me ask-
This is crazy. Not what Mikey McNuggets was like, yo, we're not listen, Ultimate Cavs is not going back on until we make a move.
I did not do a show yesterday, and I was wrong. They do play on New Year's Eve against the Warriors. They play the Lakers on New Year's Eve. That's the televised game I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I think what it says is the fact that they didn't make any moves, and I've said this before on the show, I'll repeat it. it surprises me that it took them so long to fire JB.
Right.
Because
I
he
was
clearly
confused.
was the only thing wrong with this
Apparently
team.
so.
And it took them over a week to fire the guy.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: if let's say the season doesn't go well, who's next?
Well, the GM is right in.
100%.
So
he's on the hot
if they
seat.
have a
let
bad
me
year,
get
he's
this right.
gone.
He's the only one left.
What do you consider it not going well? Because they went further in the playoffs than ever with JB. So what do they have to
Further
get to?
than ever.
Well, not ever.
If they
but like
don't
in recency since post
If
LeBron.
they're not in the Eastern Conference Finals, deuces.
Really?
Wow. That's a high bar.
Because
I kind of agree. Now, listen.
Wow.
What about the scenario? What about the scenario before you go? Okay, go ahead.
The reason because you ran it back 3 years in a row. That's 3 years you ran it back, Tyvus. So you made a decision that there was nothing wrong. You ran it back, and every single year you never progressed.
They got better one.
Well, they did
playoff
progress
series.
a little.
They made it one further.
So that means next year they will win a first round series against the Hawks or whoever it is.
Yeah, that next step would put them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
The next step is Eastern Conference, and there's no way to do it.
What if they lost to the Celtics in a hard-fought, everybody's healthy 7-game series in 7 games?
Again,
In the first round?
The second round.
And the Celtics go on to win the NBA
Yeah.
championship like they did this past year.
Right.
There's no consolation for losing.
No, but I'm saying,
but
like-
I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, I mean,
Bull.
am I firing
because
the GML for that?
I don't think you do. Not for that. We know what a flameout looks like.
Yeah, we do.
The Knicks, that was a flameout. What 2 years ago when they
They
crapped
lose-
down their leg in the first round of the playoff series. If they do that again, we're talking about more changes.
How often do a coach go to a new team and immediately they just pick right up?
Steve Kerr.
That's different,
Tyvus,
though.
Why
I'll
is
tell
that
you why.
different?
What do you mean why that's
Yeah, but
different? You got two
Tyvus,
of the
I'll
best
tell you why it's
shooters of all
different.
time.
Because this roster isn't the typical roster that gets a coach fired. Typically, a coach that's getting fired, their team won 15 to 20 games and they're light years away, so they pivot. This team has told us with their inactivity on the roster, we love our roster. We love our roster like the Browns love the wide receiver room. It was all the coach.
I mean, in fairness, they are saying that.
They are.
How can you? This is the thing about basketball. When you just look at it, you can look at a basketball team and be like, "Are you good or no? Are you going to compete or not?" And
You look at the Cavs and you don't feel that?
bro, they got smoked by the Knicks.
That was 2 years ago.
Guess what? And the Knicks are infinitely better.
Are they though?
Are we going to play that game?
Are they?
Are they? They got Bridges. They got Anunoby. They signed him. They got Julius Randle coming back. You couldn't do nothing with Robinson. He's still back.
Is Robinson still there?
DiVincenzo is shooting threes.
They did lose one of their guys, Hartenstein.
But they got Josh Hart, who's a 6'5" dude that gets 95 rebounds.
Cavs got no wing players. They got
They
like
got
13
7.
wing
Well,
players.
there is a trade rumor that we're going to discuss in the half hour on Channel 3
The McNuggets
coming up
make
at
this up.
11:30.
I did not make this.
No,
up.
this was
No,
Bleacher Report.
they've been
This came
talking
from
about
Bleacher
this
Report.
for a while.
And it's got legs. Not necessarily all the pieces, but
There's something to
There's
it.
legs to this Yang to the Nets
For what?
for something. We'll get into that in the TV show.
teaser.
But listen, if they pull off this trade, and this is again, I don't want to go into
That's
it.
a fleece.
This is a teaser for the half-hour show at WKYC.
They fleece,
If
though.
they pull off this trade, I think everybody on this panel and McNuggets would admit they address their glaring weakness. Their glaring weakness. Now you're looking at me like you don't agree with that.
I'm gonna wait till the TV
Watch
show.
and win.
Yeah.
Okay, I like what you did there. Because I'm curious to see what you think about that.
Well, that actually brings us into a perfect part of our next topic, Jay. So let me tee it up with the read, and we're going to have some fun with this one. I've had this in the docket for a while. I was waiting for a 4-person panel to actually pull this out. And we're going to tell you what that topic is after a quick word from FanDuel. By the way, we get a new FanDuel read on Monday, so no more sports at sports. But for the last time ever, you guys, gosh darn it, you know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. It's a darn shame. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I got to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. And by the way, guys, the new FanDuel read comes with a hell of a promotion. So if you're not part of the FanDuel Sportsbook yet, I highly recommend it and wait till Monday because this new promotion is actually pretty darn cool. So, Jay, this actually got sent to me by a viewer, and I thought this was a great idea for a topic.
It is.
So each of the 3 Cleveland GMs seems to have just a bit of a contrarian approach in at least one aspect of their team-building philosophy. The Guardians and their front office, for the most part, there's always tiny exceptions, don't seem to believe in home runs and power hitters.
I don't believe that premise.
Well, can I get through the dumb question before you have to interrupt?
Go ahead. I'll shut up.
They have piled their roster with infielders and middle infielders who hit 7 home runs a season. The Browns have addressed the wide receiver room, but not to the capacity other teams across the league have. Certainly not to the draft. That has been a roller coaster. And the Cavaliers do not believe in wings over 6'5". It's just the truth.
It is.
So, guys, which of the 3 contrarian approaches that a current Cleveland GM/front office has drives you the most crazy?
I think Bull should start.
Yeah, Bull, you start.
I actually don't believe in the premise in any of those things. I don't think any of those things are actually true.
I don't call it contrarian. I call it blind spots.
I don't think first of all, the Guardians just don't, part of the reason they don't have more power is because the payroll's not big enough, and power costs money, and that's not the GM's fault, that's the owner's fault.
But it's part of their philosophy because they don't have money.
I don't think it's purpose, like, this organization has had power hitters in the past. I mean,
We have 2 of them right now.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a philosophy of, well, we don't want power hitters.
I think
I don't believe
in the
that.
past, I think that philosophy was we're a contact organization. We feel like we can do a little something.
I'll
different.
agree with that.
I just don't.
I mean, last year their outfield had, 11 home
I
runs?
know, I just don't think they had a choice because they just didn't have those kind of players.
You could have gone out and got a cheap player.
I don't think, and I don't believe the Browns feel like wide receiver is not important. That makes no sense. Otherwise, they wouldn't have traded for Amari Cooper. They wouldn't have overpaid a terrible trade for Elijah Moore. It's a terrible trade at this point. They give up a second. You dropped like 30 spots from the second to the third round. You could have drafted a wide receiver in the second round.
At this point.
And they haven't been able to draft good wide receivers. But a third round pick, it's not like it's nothing capital. They haven't had a first round pick in 3 years. So that hasn't really been an option. So I don't.
By default, you're going with the Cavs.
So then I am going with the Cavs because I blame Kobe Altman for his lack of big wing players, more than I blame the other 2 teams for their perceived flaws.
Yes, you're giving reasons for why the other 2 teams.
Yeah.
Because I think they're blind spots. I do. I just think that in the case of the Browns, it's not like they huddled up and said, so guys, I've got a plan. We're going to be good everywhere. We're going to have trash wide receivers.
Right.
Ready? Break. I don't think that's but I think their blind spot is they can't recognize the talent when they see it at the collegiate level.
To this point, they haven't been able to at all.
And so that is their blind spot. And that drives me more nuts because it is such a pivotal position in the NFL. So for me, it would be the Browns' blind spot at wide receiver.
Man, this is easy.
It is, because I would.
I mean, at least Andrew Berry is like, okay, we'll get Amari Cooper. They spent the money. They spent money on Jerry Jeudy and extended him, right? They tried it with Elijah Moore. Just because you ain't good at something don't mean you ain't trying, right? So at least that's off the table for me.
Okay.
Now, the Guardians, I'll give them credit. At least they brought up Noel. They've been trying to find some power bats. They just went and got your boy Lane in the outfield. They got a couple of people that they've been bringing up that has some power, Schneeman and all those other guys, and they already had Naylor and Ramirez. So at least they are trying to fulfill that obligation. Now the Cavs is just funny style. The fact that you understand that Max Strus is 6'4", you know that he ain't getting no taller. They know it. And they ran it back and continuously try to just ram that down your throat, beat your ears up, say, "Oh my goodness, we running." How could you run that back? And there's Jason Tatum walking around. If you don't got that position, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, it's pretty crucial.
And not only did they not address it internally, they've done nothing to go get anybody. And then they gave out a bunch of money. They gave out a bunch of Halloween candy to the kids coming at the door, and just said, "We're done." but don't come back for Christmas because you got Halloween candy. No, that's not the way. It's a wrap. It's easy to Cavs because they've done nothing, and they like what they got, too. They tell you. I love it.
Well, the Browns like what they have at wide receiver.
I wholeheartedly agree with G on this one. It's definitely the Cavaliers. And it's not the fact that they didn't address it. I feel like time after time, when it started with Colin Sexton, you had Colin, you drafted a point guard. The next draft, you draft another point guard.
Same
Then the next draft, you draft a shooting guard. What are you doing? Why are you not thinking about getting anybody taller? You getting all of these guards that's short.
They finally drafted a guy who's tall, but he can't shoot.
Now he don't want to play center. So it's just that whole thing is definitely the fact that the Cavs don't want to get nobody tall, and I don't understand how you can look at history and see that you can't really be good without tall wings. You know that has to be your best player, and yet you completely ignore it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they don't try. I don't know if they offering contracts to people, these free agents, and they turning it down. I don't know what the situation is.
We haven't heard that.
No, we've heard this. We were on these airwaves, and they said, well, I think one of the reasons because they promised Max Strus he was going to be a starter when he came here.
He can start at the 2.
Who promises Max Strus anything? In Miami, they say, listen, you park your own car, you don't get a locker room, and you go get, you make sure that Mr. Pat Riley has his coffee in the morning. You talk about giving Max Strus a starting job, and he coming and running the back.
Is he really Pat Riley's coffee gopher?
Listen, I don't know, man. It was him or Jimmy Butler. I thought saying Jimmy Butler was disrespectful. I wouldn't Pat Riley.
You're right. I think maybe I looked at this as more global. I looked at it in the history of the franchises because really all three of these apply. The Guardians, with the exception of the mid-'90s, when they had a slew of power bats, have not been known as, they're not going to be confused with the Yankees that always have power bats.
Yeah.
So that's been a blind spot for them in, going back to the 90s. The wide receiver position for the Cleveland Browns may be one of the most glaring, huge weaknesses, not just for one regime, but for an entire franchise.
All time.
We're talking right now about Amari Cooper in the conversation as the best wide receiver this franchise has ever had.
Well, when your all-time leader in receiving yards is a tight end from the 80s, that's a problem.
So I looked at it as, God, really, if you think about it, going back to forever, they have had a blind spot at wide receiver. Forever.
Yeah, and
the Cavs have had some good wings in their time, but you go back and you look at the list of great Browns wide receivers, you got to go to Paul Warfield. You got to go to Amari Cooper.
Max Speedy, Gary Collins.
I mean, Josh.
Come on, man.
Was they throwing the ball in there?
Gary Collins?
Wow. I mean, they were, but.
Back then, quarterbacks were still.
Josh Gordon is like a top 5 Browns wide receiver in 1 year.
He had 1 year.
Quarterbacks.
It's been a problem for the Browns forever.
Quarterbacks were still falling back vertically like this.
And they were kicking field goals.
It was Flintstones football back then.
That was horrible. Yeah, I was like, what? How do you roll out of the pocket doing this?
So it literally might be, like, in all of sports.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It might be one of the most glaring weaknesses at a key position
I'm trying to
that
think of
any
others.
franchise has ever had.
Bears
quarterback is very
Now
good.
we're talking.
Which is even worse than Browns quarterback.
Yeah.
And Browns quarterback, believe it or not, I think is better than Browns wide receiver.
It is, without question it is. Yeah.
But Bears quarterback, their best quarterback ever is probably Jay Cutler, who was not very good.
Right. I mean, the one that's had Super Bowl success was Jim McMahon, and they won in spite of Jim McMahon.
Yeah, he wasn't
like,
very
go look
good.
at his numbers the year they won the Super Bowl in '85.
Rex Grossman took him to the Super Bowl.
You're right.
Which is hard to believe.
Yeah, that's tough.
He was terrible.
Rex Grossman and Jim McMahon have been the quarterback. So they really are the quarterback version of the Browns at wide receiver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
no doubt.
When you start asking the great wide receivers of all 31 other franchises, there are guys that instantly come to mind.
Of course.
But when you ask, not a Cleveland fan, go to Kansas City and say, name a Browns receiver that's been all-time great. Quick, go.
They would nobody.
They would freeze.
They couldn't name anybody.
Amari Cooper.
You're right. And just doing a scan in my mind,
I'm trying
there is no running back. No.
For who?
Like
when
every team has had a great running back.
Every team has had a great running back. every team has had relatively a great quarterback or a great receiver.
Except for the Bears.
Except for the Bears and except for the Browns at receiver.
You're right.
Washington had a good running back before.
John Riggins.
John Riggins.
Clinton Portis.
And Clinton Portis wasn't bad.
Clinton Portis.
Clinton Portis was great.
There's got to be another team that never had a great running back.
Who's the
right?
dude that
I
used
mean,
to do the home
we could
run?
go through all 32. That would take a long time. But Bull,
I'm trying to
for
think
the
of
most part, because it's such a high-profile position, like wide receiver, you can name one.
Have the Patriots had a great running back?
Corey Dillon.
Yeah, but he's more of a Bengal, no?
Corey Dillon
I
had
think,
but he
I think
played-
Corey Dillon with the Patriots.
Yeah,
Plus,
I do too, and he-
LeGarrette Blount was not an all-time great, but
He scored a
his
lot
moments
of
in the Super Bowls
touchdowns.
were, yeah.
Curtis
Yeah, no.
Martin.
Curtis Martin. But he was also a
More
Jet.
Jet, though.
More of a Jet,
Yeah.
but he did play for the Patriots.
That's two names.
Corey Dillon's probably the Bengals' best all-time running back.
You know what? Today's
Cedric
modern-day
Benson,
fan,
yeah.
you know who they would answer that question with the Browns? Which is sad.
For running back,
Chubb.
or
For wide receiver.
Josh Gordon.
No.
Odell.
Odell Beckham.
Oh, no way.
They would because
Yeah.
he's the highest profile
The name, yeah,
wide
yeah.
receiver
But
that the
did
Browns
you-
have ever
and
had.
He's not better than Amari.
But
No.
higher profile.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
You're right
his
about
name.
He's
that.
not better than Amari.
And-
Amari's
and by the way-
numbers here have been pretty good.
But this is crazy. If you go back and watch and you look at that season, right?
he was open.
Yeah, he was open. I
that's
still
what
die on
his
that
dad
hill. But
and I bet if you asked all of his other relatives, they'd say he was wide open every play.
that year, you had both of those guys get 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Jarvis and Odell.
If you said
Wasn't as bad as we thought.
if you saw it say Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy get 1,000 today,
We'll take it.
You're like, oh Lord. And by the way, David Njoku had about 700
Yeah.
yards too.
But they both had less than 1,100, right?
Yeah, they were barely over
Yeah.
1,000 in my memory. I
But
think.
and I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, that's if
I'd
I
take
get
2,000
right
yard
now,
receivers.
I would take it two
I take it this-
receivers.
yeah.
I'll take that. And then Nick Chubb had 1,000 running.
That's
I-
a shame.
By the way, I mentioned this the other day. I still can't believe Terrell Pryor had 1,000 yards receiving.
Oh no,
I know,
Go
that-
Bucks!
That is
another-
insane.
that's
What do you
another
mean?
mind
Why is
blow.
that
And they
shocking.
offered him.
Why is it shocking?
No, Terrell Pryor was good.
He's a great athlete.
I know
It's
he was
low
good that
key
year.
one of the best receiver seasons in the history of the Cleveland Browns.
It is.
He was a quarterback.
top 10.
You know.
It is top 10.
And Hugh
Big time
Jackson.
top
And Hugh
10.
Jackson was calling the plays. That's
Well,
wild.
you know us Buckeyes got to do some saving every now and again, and that's what he did.
And
Put
he,
the team
and you
on his
know what?
back.
They offered him.
and couldn't get paid.
They offered
And
him
went to
eight-
Pittsburgh, didn't he?
32
No, he went to Washington.
4 years.
Oh, yeah, you're right,
They
you're right.
offered him 4 years, $32 million, and he turned it down.
Boy, was that a mistake.
and
shouldn't
he
have
went to
did that.
Washington, and it was just
That was a wrap.
that was done, bro.
shouldn't have did that.
You stay, hey, bro, go to the dance with the girl that want to dance with you,
Did
bro.
Washington pay him good?
He had 1,000 yards, 1,007 that one season. In the 2 seasons after, the final 2 years of his career, he had less than 500 combined.
Wow.
He got-
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah,
T. Pryor, yep.
he was nice.
He's still counting to 32 million too, by the way.
Did he? What was Washington's deal? How much?
I think he got hurt, if I'm not mistaken, one of those 2 years.
He got hurt in Washington, and
He
then
played 9 games that first year in Washington, and then in 2018,
Yeah.
But he signed.
he signed
All
with
right,
the
guys.
Jets and had 6 games with the Jets, then played 2 games with Buffalo that year.
Mike, do we have 2 minutes for me to do a rapid fire exercise?
Yeah, we have 7 minutes. No super chats. So we
All
got
right.
7 minutes. We're gonna end this stream at 25, so we can set up for the TV.
All right,
show.
guys.
Okay, 8
Rapid
minutes to
fire. I'll give you guys like 5 seconds to guess.
Okay.
I'm going to do every team in the NFL's all-time leading receiver.
Oh, wow.
And we'll see
Okay.
if the Browns clearly have by far the worst.
Yeah.
Arizona.
Larry
Larry
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
Correct. Raiders.
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
Oh,
Brown,
Tim
Nice
Brown.
job.
Jerry.
Colts.
Marvin Harrison.
Correct. Rams.
Isaac.
Oh,
Torrey
yeah,
Holt.
Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce. Texans.
Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson. Nice job. Bills.
Andre Reed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say it was Andre Reed.
So far, all superstars. Either
Superstars.
Hall of Famers or borderline
Yeah.
Hall of Famers, right? Seahawks.
Largest.
Yeah, Steve
Largent.
Largent.
Cowboys.
Michael Irvin.
Ooh, wow. That could be really Drew Pearson.
Now, it's actually Jason
No, it's got to be.
Witten.
It's,
It's Jason Witten, believe it or not. But obviously, Michael Irvin.
yeah, wow.
Playmaker.
Vikings.
Randy
Ahmad
Moss.
Rashad. Oh,
Chris
yeah, Randy
Carter.
Ross.
Randy.
No,
Say it.
Chris Carter. There you go.
Go Bucks.
Chris Carter.
Wow.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith. Nice job.
at you.
Carolina Panthers.
Steve
Smith.
Steve Smith. Falcons.
Julio.
Yup.
Yeah, Julio Jones.
And then Roddy
Steelers.
White. Yeah.
Hines Ward.
Hines Ward.
Yeah.
Washington.
Wait, one sec, Bull.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hines Ward's the first non-superstar on this list.
Right.
Good receiver,
Yeah.
but not in the same
But
category
yeah.
as other guys.
I would take him as our best receiver of all time. If
Yeah,
we
by
had
a
him.
lot. Yeah.
Is it
He won some games.
Is
Yes.
it
Put it
James
that way.
Lofton?
Washington? No.
Santana.
What was the
no.
question?
Washington.
Art Monk.
Art Monk.
Yep.
That was
That's
another
it.
tricky one. He was a tight end.
Chargers.
Chargers.
Is it Kellen Winslow?
Keenan
No,
Allen?
it would be in.
Is it Keenan Allen?
It's actually Antonio Gates.
Wow.
Oh, so there's more tight
I got a
ends.
fire alarm going off at my house, so
That's kind of important.
let me. I don't know what to do. Let me call my wife real quick while you guys.
Yeah, you
continue
take
the
care of that.
conversation.
You take care of that. Let's
Well,
do
your
some
mic's
AFC.
dead.
Let's do some AFC Central teams. The Bengals.
Probably Ocho
Chris
Cinco.
Johnson. I mean, Chad Johnson.
Yeah, it's Chad Johnson.
Think
Yeah, Ocho Cinco.
you think?
It would be. It
I don't
better
know though.
be.
He'll tell us in a second.
Ocho Cinco.
Let's go. We already did the Steelers. Let's go the Ravens.
It is Chad Johnson, by the
It
way.
is Chad.
10,783 yards.
Shannon Sharp.
Man, he had a great career. He
Is
really
is
did.
it Anquan?
got another team that has it here. The Jets.
The best receiver?
The all-time leading receiver.
They're kind of in the Browns category, I think.
It's from the '60s. Don Maynard.
Oh my God!
And I would have never.
They are the Browns. Then.
Yeah.
they really are. They're the Browns' sister.
Their best receiver
franchise.
is Garrett Wilson.
He just hasn't slid into that number one
right,
slot yet.
right. He
But
gonna
you're
get-
right. He will be their
yeah,
best
it's
receiver,
Garrett
barring
Wilson, right.
injury. Buckeye.
Yeah.
Go Bucks.
You know what? There's a lot of Buckeyes in that list.
Tennessee
Chris
Titans.
Carter. Paul Warfield. I don't think he's got the most receiving yards for a receiver because that was Ozzie Newsome. But Paul Warfield is certainly amongst the greats. He was a Buckeye.
Tennessee Titans. That's tough.
Tennessee.
Does it count for
Did the
Houston?
Oilers count?
If it's the
as part of
Oilers,
that?
Yeah.
I would.
I think the records went with the Titans.
Is it Haywood Jeffries?
They ain't really never had a good
Hello?
wide receiver since I've
They're
been
kind of like us.
Titans' all-time leading receiver. I'm going to be honest. I've never heard of this person. Ernest Givens.
Ernest Givens.
Yeah. So the Oilers records
Oilers
did
count.
go over to
Yeah.
Tennessee.
They-
no,
I never heard of him either.
no, he was legit. He was legit.
Them Warren Moon.
That's when the Browns and the Oilers
Was the
rivalry
AFC
was
North.
intense.
You go to the Dome, it's a problem.
When did Ernest Givens play?
I think he
I'm
was
unsure.
number 81. I'm going to say mid-80s.
Yeah, mid-80s to early 90s.
Early
They
90s.
they had Haywood Jeffries, Ernest Givens.
They had that run and shoot.
Lorenzo White was the running back.
My goodness, Jerry Glanville threw the ball.
Who is the Saints? Is
Getting
it,
off the
is
bus.
it Marquise Cole?
No,
Colston,
no,
I mean,
Marcus,
Saints,
you mean Marcus Colston?
Yeah.
No,
Marcus Colston?
it might be another Buckeye.
Is it Horn? Is it Horn?
It is Marquise Colston.
It is Colston. God,
I
he's
say
their
Slim
leading
Michael
receiver.
Thomas.
Michael Thomas is
Michael Tho-
fourth.
That's
Joe
a
Horn's third.
shame he
And
coulda
Eric
had
Martin
that.
is second.
Wow.
He could have had that if it wasn't for them injuries, boy.
Man, yeah. There's we the Dolphins. We've done them.
No, we didn't.
Do we do the Dolphins? Is it
Oh,
Mark?
the Dolphins have had a lot
Is
because in the
Clayton-
Dan Marino years
is
they
it
had
Clayton or Duper?
They had the Clayton
It
and
is
Duper.
Duper, by the way.
Mark-
What was their nickname? The twins? What did they call Duper and Clayton?
Yeah, Duper and Clayton.
The Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
For my time.
Because it was Mark Clayton and Mark Duper.
Yep.
And they had, because that's Dan Marino was just,
Yeah, they
he
was
threw it
flying
35
wide.
times a game.
Yeah. Which was
remember
unheard of
I
back
remember
then.
them beating. Was the '85 Bears they played?
They were the only team to beat the 85 Bears on
at
Monday
home.
Night Football.
Monday Night Football at home.
And they did it to preserve the Dolphins, who still are the only team that's run
Was
a
it-
regular season and playoff during the Super Bowl years.
Was it, did they go 5 wide against the Bears?
Man, Dan
You
Marino
know what?
was
They
doing
beat
every
them.
one.
They beat them soundly.
It was like
It wasn't even a close game.
because the Bears was running the 62 defense, and basically
No, what defense?
bro.
No, it was a different. It was a.
The 85.
6 linemen, 2 linebackers.
They was running the bare front, bro.
They
the
had
46.
linebackers.
The
They-
46, you know, 46. They was running.
I know.
But that's still. It might as well be 10 people up there.
Well, they had linebackers that were up on the line all the time.
and they
So
went.
that's because everybody was just running the ball.
and
See,
the Dolphins spread them all the way
the
out.
46 is literally like, you got that gap, that's it. That's your gap. That's all you got to worry about.
By the way, I know you guys were talking about the Oilers. Obviously, I got distracted by the fire alarm. But
Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's okay.
Okay.
This guy's working in my backyard,
Okay.
and they were creating a lot of dust, and it affected the smoke alarm somehow. I don't know.
good smoke alarm.
Yeah, exactly. Ernest Givens is the all-time leading receiver.
Yeah,
for the
we
Oilers.
got
okay,
that.
My
yeah.
bad.
Tyvus had never heard of him because he wasn't born yet.
What about the Kansas
The
City
Bears,
Chiefs?
Johnny Morris from the
Travis
50s.
Kelce. Yeah, Kelsey.
60s.
Yeah.
So they haven't had a
Johnny
quarterback or a
Morris.
wide receiver in forever.
And look at their
Bears?
tradition, well, they at least have a Super Bowl to their credit,
Yeah.
but like Cleveland, they're
Yeah.
one of those pillar franchises,
Right.
and they've
Yeah.
been void of superstar at two of the biggest positions. Now they had Walter Payton at
Right.
running back, and they've had all kinds of all-time greats on defense.
Yeah.
But that's what they've been known
Really,
for.
Walter Payton is the only. Is there another great player that they've had on offense, like
No,
skill
probably
position
not,
wise?
because the offense, the quarterback,
Devin
and the,
Hester.
Yeah, but he's a special teams guy.
Yeah.
Not an
Justin
offensive
Fields.
we got to go. We're getting ready to go over to WKYC for 30 minutes, and then it's over to Progressive Field, where Tyvus is going to find out what a sweeper looks like. Wow. See you at WKYC, 11:30.